Michael Hernandez here of MLH Media, and we are here today with probably the youngest guest I've ever had here on the program. This is Alexis Mariscal over there in Sacramento, more specifically Citrus Heights, California, Thomas Fallon's MMA. How you doing today, Miss Mariscal?
I'm doing pretty good today. Thank you. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm not doing too bad. Getting to speak to a world champion today. Let's just start it off right there. I mean, getting a huge performance and a huge win over there at IMMAF over there in Abu Dhabi. And it's not your first time around over there on the other side of the globe. Can you just guide people through that experience as a young athlete to be able to not only get to travel the globe, but also getting to win the gold and bring it back to your home country?
It was a really nice experience. I got to meet so many awesome people there. I've gotten to see so many friends. I've gotten to compete against some of the best people from other countries across the world. And it's a really awesome experience to be able to go there multiple times.
Can you guide us through that type of tournament experience? Because that's a little bit different than what a lot of MMA fans are usually used to, the traditional pay-per-view or going to an MMA fight night. You're going out there and you're having to compete multiple times in sometimes a day, sometimes within multiple days. Can you kind of guide fans through that? I know you're not getting hit to the face, but still, it's definitely can take a toll on the body.
So, I did get there a couple days early, so I got to get my body used to kind of like how it felt to be in Abu Dhabi, get over jet lag, stuff like that. We got to the fights pretty early, and from there, since I was in the heavier kind of weight division for my age bracket, I went to the back, I warmed up, stretched, did everything that I needed to do kind of in anticipation, just waiting for my fights. Some breaks were very short between my fights and some were pretty long, but just changing outfits also, red and blue, because we didn't do that last year, but I felt like it made a really big difference, honestly, the outfits.
Yeah, what exactly was the difference? Did you just feel that the time change kind of thing, and just having to go and change and do all that instead of really getting to lock in? What exactly was the thing with outfits?
The outfits, since we got to change into red and blue instead of just keeping the same purple outfits that we had last year, I feel like it was definitely like easier to tell who was who in the cage, but it was also more time consuming to go to the bathroom and change and come back.
No, 100%. And I feel like that's something maybe not all fans are looking at, because once you're all taped up and ready to go, you can't really just, hey, I got to go to the restroom real quick. And so that could be a little bit of a difficulty. And I'm glad that you kind of explained that, because that's something that, like how I stated, an average fan may not see. But speaking a little bit more on this past performance, you were actually able to capture the gold in two divisions, 126 and 135, I believe. Could you kind of go into that and your decision to want to go into both divisions? Was that something that you had went in there initially, or just something that kind of fell upon you?
So I was around, I think 127 around that time. So 126 was definitely the closer weight division for me. And at that time, I did have one girl, I think, in the division. So I went into that bracket, but nobody came to fight. So I felt like going up into 137, since I was already uncontested, I had nothing to lose. And I felt like it would be a challenge for me to go up and compete. So.
And you were able to go ahead and meet the graces of that challenge. But could you kind of go into were you trying to go ahead and gain that weight back up, or was that not really a huge worry for you, considering that you didn't really have a pool of competition that day prior?
We weighed in the day of nationals. So I had to weigh in 126 pounds to be able to be uncontested in that weight division. So I was around 126 pounds that day.
Wow. Wow. So you go and take on these girls that are already at basically 10 pounds over on you, and you're still able to capture the win. That's actually pretty impressive, especially considering the fact that, I mean, you ladies are still at a younger stage in your guys' life, to where you're not really maybe as strong as one usually would be, especially after maybe cutting a few pounds and all of that. And especially for you to go out there and go up a division just the day of is a little bit wild. But can you kind of go into possibly what the future can hold for Miss Alexis Mariscal and when we can expect? Are you going to be entering IMMAF next year, the tournament over there in Abu Dhabi? What's the opportunities looking like?
I'm definitely going to be competing at nationals yet next year in hopes to qualify for worlds in 2025, and it's a really awesome experience. So I do hope to be able to go there and compete once again,
You
hopefully for
had
another gold.
you had your coach Tom Fallon there not only with you last year but this year as well. What has that meant for you to kind of have him in your corner as someone that, like how we were stating a little bit before we hopped on this call, he's kind of been a part of this surge in Northern California, especially with like, a lot of these guys that are in the UFC. How has it been to have him in your corner and helping you develop your young career?
Me and my coach are very close, and I have him at every single one of my cage fights. He's been there for me. I come to his gym 3 times a week to practice. He cares for me and he loves me a lot, and I'm so grateful to have him in my corner. He's one of the best coaches in California.
100%, and he has definitely been showing that, especially in his repertoire as of late. I mean, you have not only guys like Ryan Loder that are getting to UFC, but you already have guys like Max Griffin, Anthony Hernandez that just have been killing it and have been killing the game. On top of Shaylor Ladd looking to possibly make his pro debut over there at LFA in Santa Cruz coming up here pretty soon. But speaking about you, Alexis, you're also in an epicenter for women's MMA. I mean, there's so much talent in that Northern California area. When's a chance that we would get to see Miss Alexis Mariscal get to hop into the possibly amateur MMA ranks? Is that a possibility that we could get to see from the likes of Miss Mariscal?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I really enjoy fighting, and I hope to be able to do it in my future. And yeah.
To think that you originally started with karate out, I believe 6 or 7 years ago, and then went into MMA, had your first cage fight about 3 years ago. Did you ever think that you would eventually have these world championships kind of lying on your lap and possibly be looking to further your MMA career, or has this just really all been taking it one step at a time for you?
When I started karate, I think I started around 4 years old, and it was just a gym by my house. I went there to learn some self-defense, to have some fun, to learn some discipline. And I'm so happy and proud that I get to be here now doing MMA, doing cage fights. I always thought it was super cool to watch the UFC fights, and I'm very grateful. But when I first started doing karate, I could not have dreamt of having 2 world championships in my first 2 years of competing.
And it's crazy to think that you're going to get that opportunity for a couple of more years to possibly continue this reign over there in that division. And then this is to think that you still have your school responsibilities, and then you also wrestle for your school, correct?
So I am going to be starting wrestling season, and I'm going to be going to wrestle at a high school. So I hope I can learn some wrestling moves and even help my game get better all around.
She's already doing real good with the high school girls, so it's gonna be promising.
You got Coach Tom Fallon over there. Just a question over there for Tom, really quick. I mean, since we got you over here, Tom, can you kind of go into it a little bit how it's been for you? I know you spoke about it a little bit with the Born in Sacramento crew, but to have a young girl that's just so determined and so willing to, I mean, sacrifice her time, go out across the country, across the world, and be able to perform to the likes of her ability. How has that been for you as a coach? I mean, it's probably been special to watch.
It's very stop. Get off the treadmill. Her little sister is running on the treadmill next to us. It's special with any fighter, whether they're an adult or in the UFC or like at the 8-1 show or even the smaller local shows. It's special, but for a kid and coming from my background where I didn't have any positive influences or role models, I didn't get to play any sports. I started fighting when I was 25 with no training, and then just being able to help. Like it's crazy, like thinking about going to another country, Abu Dhabi, with a kid to go fight 4 times in a cage in front of princes. Like that's like movie stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So if you don't do it for the kids, what do you do it for? You know? So man, it's amazing, you know, it's crazy. I could have never even imagined this kind of thing, to be honest.
You stated it best yourself. It's almost like a movie, you know, to be able to not only go over there once, to be go over there twice. It's almost something that Disney writers couldn't even think up of if they were paying the top dollar for those writers. So it's something like how you said, a script couldn't even be produced for it. But speaking a little bit more about you, Alexis, I know you got your little sister over there going crazy before you got practice and all that. So we'll make this a little bit more short here. But you got Anthony Hernandez coming up, big main event, October 19th, I believe. Are you going to be watching? And you got Tom Fallon over there. He's most likely going to be over there in that corner. What are your thoughts about that fight?
I really love Fluffy, and I love him fighting. He's a really nice person. He always says hi to me when I see him at the gym. He's really nice. I like his daughters. They're all nice. And I will be watching the fights on TV. And my little sisters and me, we always love seeing Thomas, and we always love watching them fight. So it'll be a fun experience.
Just as how he's in your corner over there in Abu Dhabi, it must be pretty cool to be able to watch your coach over there on the big screen as well, especially when he's in front of, like how you said, so many people on the pay-per-view and the big bright lights. It must be a pretty cool feeling over there for Miss Mariscal. Anybody you wanted to thank in particular in this closing segment here today?
I do want to thank everybody that has helped me and supported me to get to Abu Dhabi. And my sponsors, Pest Pros, Mark III Construction, everybody over there. And I really just want to thank everybody who has donated to me. I want to thank my training partners and especially my coaches.
Pest Pro has been an active sponsor over there for Northern California MMA. I mean, Corey McKenna, Cody Vogels, and now the likes of Miss Alexis Mariscal. Thank you so much for your time today on the program. It is an absolute pleasure to get to speak to you. I mean, at the bright age of 13 years old, already a two-time world champion over there in Abu Dhabi. The world is your oyster, as the old saying goes. So, Alexis, best of luck to you in your future endeavors. Michael Hernandez here of MLH Media, and we are going to be signing out over here in the 559 with Thomas Fallon and Alexis Mariscal over there in Citrus Heights.